Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Milan. Nice to meet you if we haven't met yet. In today's video I will be talking about how to kickstart your career and earn some big bags without going to university. Obviously this won't apply to everyone. If you're trying to be a doctor, then this video probably might not really apply to you, just maybe. But if you're trying to get into the creative field, then I might have some helpful tips. So if you like what you're hearing already and you want to keep watching, then I'm going to give you this moment to subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram, and turn on my post notifications. The first thing I'm going to talk about is my educational background, because again, it might be helpful to this process. So I live in London, UK, England, Great Britain, whatever you want to call it. I've been in the British educational system since I was probably about like 9-10 years old. I'm probably going way too far back. However, I did my GCSEs in England. I got 9 A to A stars and 1 B. Then I did my A-levels. I did math, psychology, and media. I got a C in mathematics, a B in psychology, and A in media studies. Media has always been my favorite playground, and for a while I kind of knew I wanted to get into advertising and into the media space, so it was helpful that I knew from early kind of what I wanted to do, because I was constantly somewhat in that type of space, because it was just my interest. So now that you know my background information, you can decide whether this will apply to you. I'm 21 years old. I turned 21 literally 5 months ago, 5 months ago. And I'm a social media exec, and I've been doing that in my current role, I've been doing that for, let's say, 6 months now. So that's my background. So as a social media exec, I pretty much deal with content creation, digital strategy, social campaigns, influencer marketing, influencer relationships. So let's say that makes up like the basis of what I do. There's elements of PR marketing in there, but on a whole, we work on social platforms. So there's different types of digital marketing, and this is the side that's completely organic. Let's call it that. There's digital marketing which focuses on paid ads, and there's digital marketing that focuses on organic and building a brand social reach organically. So that's what I do. Now, if you still find this video helpful, then keep watching, but I'm just going to talk about how I got into that and how to get into that if you decided not to go to university or you're thinking about not going to university. So let's begin. Now, step 1, networking. Everyone's favorite word, but the thing that everyone kind of doesn't really know how to do. I think, well, I didn't really know how to do it in the beginning. When I was in my final year of doing my A-levels, I made it my goal to network. At the time, I didn't know how relevant it would be to what I'm doing right now, but it became extremely important. At the time, people were telling me, oh, it's not what you know, it's who you know, and I just never really understood, but it makes so much sense, because a lot of the positions that I'm in right now is not necessarily because I'm the best at everything, but it's because of who I knew and the circles I put myself in that could put me in these positions or help me find a way to get to these positions. So my first tip is to network. When you finish school or college, it's very difficult to step outside your circles, because you've been in that place for 18 years. The friends that you've made for the last 18 years have been in the same circle as you, so they don't necessarily have anyone that could help you or know anyone that could help you. Maybe they do, but the majority case is that they don't. So it's important to network outside your circle and with people who are in a better position than you, that can teach you something, or are in a much higher position than you, that can kind of guide you along the way, and that can also advise you, look out for you, and make sure that, you know, you're doing the things that need to be done. So my first tip is to network. When I was in my final year of my A-levels, I made it my thing to meet people. in this space. And one thing about the media industries is that it's very easy to meet people. There's events happening all the time. Everyone is showcasing themselves online, so it's very easy to make friends. And I would utilize social platforms. So of course Instagram is great if you want to stunt and take vacation pictures, but it's also a very good playground to build up your personal brand and build up your network. And you can connect with people that you would never cross paths with on a normal day. And it's very easy to engage with people, because let me tell you this, people want to help you, people want to meet you, and people want to talk about themselves. So if you see someone that's in a position that you aspire to be in or that you're working towards, it's very, very easy to message them and just be like, hey, let's say I'm an 18-year-old student who wants to be a media exec just like you. It'd be great if I could have 15 minutes of your time to ask you about your career journey and get some advice from you. It's very simple to do. As I said, people want to talk about themselves and people are very, very willing to help. If you are going to do this to meet someone that can help you, I'm just going to give you some tips about asking people for help. One, it's better to make sure you engage with someone consistently before you do this. So, like their pictures, comment on their pictures, comment on something that they post on their story, just to lead up to it, kind of to just warm up the situation before just going straight into the deep end. Keep your messages very short and get to the point, because sometimes if it's too long, then one, they'll read it and then not go back to it until they have more time, and two, if you waffle too much, then it's kind of just like, I don't know what you're asking me for. Just keep it very succinct. I'd say 5 lines at max. And while I truly don't believe you always have something to offer someone, if you do, then that would also be helpful. So if you see that someone who's in a position that you want to be in needs an assistant, be like, it would be great to shadow you. I would be your assistant and help you with your daily tasks if you let me learn from you. So a very good way to do it is a transactional way, so that they're benefiting from you being around them all the time. But this isn't always the case, because some people are willing to just help you for the sake of helping you. So build up a social relationship with them first, warm it up, get the relationship, just give it a warm up, like their pictures, interact with them, comment, blah, 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 message them, keep it short, keep it to the point. And if you can offer something back, but you don't always have to. Choose people who are, obviously reach for the stars, don't take this the wrong way, reach for the stars, but choose people who are somewhat accessible. It's very easy to want to network with people who are at the very top, but as Issa Rae says, network across, because there's people around you that can help you, people just the next ladder up that are more in your reach than people with like 2 million followers that will probably never see your message. With this, also, if someone sees your message, or if you send someone a message and they haven't replied yet, please follow up. I'm telling you, it works. People are very busy, and they might see your message in a scan of a bunch of other messages. Now, they might be really intentional about replying and be like, okay, I'll reply when I get home. And by the time they get home, they've forgotten about it. But if you message them again, then they'll be like, oh, yes, I remember you. So follow up. I say if you're going to follow up with someone, I'd say maximum 3 times. After 3 times, then on to the next one. Warm up the relationship. Send a message, very succinct. Keep it to the point. Try as much as you can to keep it transactional, so that they're also gaining something from giving you their time. Follow up and keep it with accessible people. They're very easy to speak to and they can give you more of their time. Follow up on these relationships. So once you've met someone and they've given you as much advice as they need, you might not want to see them again, but keep those relationships going, because it might not turn into something now, but it's great to keep those relationships warm, because you might need something, or they might need something, or they might be able to help you, you might be able to help them. And that's just how you build relationships in this world. You have to follow up with it. So after you've met them, you've had your coffee, you've asked every single question that you have, send them a thank you note after that and ask them how they're doing from time to time. The one thing that I forgot to add to this part was if you're going to meet someone or you have questions to ask them, no, if you're going to meet someone or you ask someone for their time, make sure you know what you want their time for. Do not go to someone and just be like, yes, just tell me everything about you. Have something to offer. So whether that be you have a list of questions written out already, you have a CV that you need specific advice on, you have a particular role that you want to go for, make sure that these things are all in place, because you don't want to take up someone's time to meet them and not have anything to say. It's going to look bad on you. So make sure you know exactly what you're going for and you've prepared something to say to them. So yeah, that's my advice for networking. Build on those relationships and see where it leads to. Number 2, experience. So, of course, everyone says that you need a degree, but experience just tops off everything, which is why they do things like placement years, or they've been drilling work experience into us since like year 10. But experience, I'm telling you, will bring you far. And I think that's one of the things that always kind of put me over the edge. So since, I want to say I've been working for the longest time now. I've pretty much been working since I was like 16. However, I've been working on my own little mini projects since since around the same time. And that's one of the things about the creative industry, is that you do not need anyone to start. You can work on projects yourself and it will be helpful towards building up your media kit or CV. So let's start. Back in 2016, so this was in my final year of college, which is equivalent to sixth form, which is equivalent to, what's that, senior year, whatever you want to call it, just that year before you go into university. I was doing my thing on Instagrams. I had a fair bit of followers and I just started working with brands. One particular small startup brand reached out to me to work with them as an influencer. That relationship developed into me working as a content creator and then more hands-on with the actual brand itself. So that's an example of relationship that built up. So that went from me learning how to network to me actually gaining hands-on experience. Now, if you can utilize any situation you can to get experience, that is going to be so helpful. Get yourself in as many rooms as possible, and there's so many different ways to do this. You can either build upon the relationships that you've networked for, volunteer for, as I said, if you're using social media well, there will be opportunities to volunteer to help out on shoots and all of that. What else is there with that? Email, message people. So if you see something happening, or this is the same as networking, but instead of contacting an individual, contact a company and be like, okay, so I'm a student who works in this industry, social PR marketing, and I'd love to gain some experience. This is what I've done before. This is how I can help you. I'd really like to kickstart my career and help you guys out completely free of charge. You see, when obviously now there's a conversation about no one should work for free, everyone should, know their worth, blah, 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 blah. However, I truly believe that there's value in offering up your services for free. Now, of course, nowhere not to get exploited, but if you are an up-and-coming and a new starter, you need to get yourself in every single room possible to network, to meet people, to build on your experiences, and offering your time up for free is going to be more valuable to you than a £250 day rate. And if you start turning down opportunities because they're not paid a small amount, there's people who are willing to take those opportunities for free. So if you're new and up and coming and you generally have time on your hands because you're trying to build up your career, I do recommend still doing things for free. So don't let Instagram fool you about know your worth and know your this. You need to build up your experience, so you best start sending out some emails that you're free of charge. So yeah, when I started working in 2016, I made sure that pretty much every opportunity that I did was for free, but the amount of experience that I gained in that time is more valuable to me now than just getting the odd £100 a day. Of course, there's opportunities where you need to know that should be paid, but there's a lot where the time is worth more than the money. So as I'm saying, email companies and offer up your services. So whether that be, you can start with big companies like Channel 4, ITV, BBC 3, then You can try other companies like YouTube, Google. Then you can try smaller companies that are more local to you, PR agencies that just started up, social marketing agencies that just started up, digital marketing agencies that just started up. Like, there's loads of people who need help. And do not be discouraged by people not replying. Honestly, when you get to job applications, it will be just as humbling. Email as many people as you possibly can and offer yourself up to learn. As I said, people genuinely want to help if you let them know what it is that you want. So offer up your services and experience. Gain as much experience as you possibly can. There's loads of different websites that can do this, and I'll try and leave some down below, but there's stuff like Student Ladder, there's stuff like notgoingtouni.com, there's loads of opportunities being advertised online, and there's websites like Twitter where people literally post stuff out, which have the odd jobs here and there. There's this other one website that I completely forgot the name, but if I find it, I'll put the link down below. Okay, so experience. That's one way to look at it. There's also, if you live in the UK again, apprenticeships. So apprenticeships are on-the-job training. So I've done an apprenticeship for a little while and I hated it. So this is just a very succinct experience. But an apprenticeship is basically, instead of going to university, you train on the job. It's probably about a year, or I want to say it's 1 to 2 years long, maybe 3 years depending on what it is, but this can apply for a lot of different sectors that don't. This can apply to a lot of different sectors that need a degree. This is a great way to bridge the gap, so you're getting experience while being trained by a certain company. So this one has training involved. How it works is you apply for an apprenticeship, you get placed with a company, and you pretty much start as their junior and you work your way up. Now, I'll do pros and cons. The pros of an apprenticeship is that you apply just like a normal job. You can get your foot in the door to rooms, which usually requires a degree, and earn your place there. You get training. You kind of get looked after as a junior, so it builds you up instead of you having to go out and grind for roles and grind for experience. It's a simple way to kind of build up your career. What's the word? Your career prospects without going to university or without having to be on the streets begging for experience. But the cons to it is that it's usually paid a quarter of the amount, and based on my experience, I hated it. So for mine, I was working as a digital marketing exec in an agency which dealt with programmatic advertising. Now, programmatic advertising is pretty much the tech side to advertising. The best way I can explain it is that you auction up digital ad spaces are up for auction and you buy them for different brands, and yeah, so that's what it was. The role itself was great. The company I was with was great. However, how I believe apprenticeships work is that when a company offers an apprenticeship, they get a government grant. So, of course, for financial purposes or maybe for tax relief, companies might offer apprenticeships. However, there might not always be a role for them to do. So in my situation, I got an apprenticeship at this great big company with this amazing job title, some of whom I'm still friends with today. However, my role wasn't exactly what the title was, which meant that sometimes I'd go into work and I wouldn't have anything to do because they didn't have anything for me to do, because my role was there, but everything was handled, like they didn't actually need me, which meant my time was being wasted. And on top of that, it was in central London, and apprenticeships are also, I forgot to mention, about a quarter of the pay rate that everyone else is making in the company. Now at the time, what I wanted to do, I could argue that I was very qualified to do that, which meant that I didn't need to be paid quarter of the price. If they actually gave me the full role and, gave me the training that was needed, 2-3 weeks, I could have done the exact same thing and earned the same amount as everyone else. But because I was an apprentice, I was paid a lot less and the learning progression was really slow. I don't like my time being wasted, so I opted to not continue with that. So I did that for about 3 months, and then I opted to not continue because I wasn't learning much. I didn't have a defined role, and I wasn't being paid enough to waste my time. So that was my experience with an apprenticeship. However, I also worked alongside 2 other apprentices in different departments, and their role was great. So of course my experience isn't the same as everyone else's, but yeah. Job applications. Okay, so you have all your experience, you've done your networking, and now you want to get a big boy role and earn some big boy money. Woo, woo. So, CVs. I recommend getting someone who's in a role that you want to be in, someone who's far removed from that role, and someone who's in a much higher position than that role to read your CV and offer you advice. You don't want too many people looking over your CV because too many opinions is going to clash. If you're looking for a creative role, then good news, your CV can be as creative as possible. My CV has pink on it. That's all I'm going to give away. So make it stand out, so make it different, and understand what a CV needs. I really don't like how I don't think job applications right now are very transparent. There's so many different little hacks and tricks to make sure that your CV gets read, where there's like screening systems, you have to use certain keywords, your CV has to be in a certain format based on what company you're applying for, and these things aren't known. So there's people out there who can do amazing jobs, but their CVs aren't getting read. So if your CV currently isn't getting you any roles, don't let it discourage you. I promise you, job hunting is one of the most humbling experiences you'll ever go through in this life, but keep going. Like, you need to do at least 100 job applications. Anything less than that, and I'm gonna tell you that you haven't tried. So yeah, make sure your CV is looked over by other people who can offer their best advice. Make sure you know the hacks and tips and tricks based on what role you're applying for and what website you're applying through. Know how to sell yourself. It's very easy to write something very simple on a CV. For example, you have to say things in a way which makes you sound prestige. So, for example, your friend started a business and she needed someone to post nice pictures on Instagram. You're very creative and you're good at this. This is CV worthy. So instead of saying helped my friend run her social media for her t-shirt business, you say led the digital strategy for a small business and grew the following by 250% within the space of 3 weeks, doubled the engagement rate to X% in the space of this amount of time, and oversaw community management as well as building a foolproof digital strategy, I think. Anyways, you can see the difference between 2 sentences. One says, I helped my friend run her Instagram account, and one says, I'm a social media exec who needs to be hired. Make sure your CV is worded in a way that sounds like you know what you're talking about. Okay, so that's that. If you want more CV help, email me. You know what? I feel nice. Email me if you want more help on your CV. All in all, I'm just going to go over what I said. It's very easy. This is a lot easier to do when you know what you want to get into, but even if you don't know what you want to get into, this is still a good way to narrow things down. Initially, I knew I wanted to work in the media space, but I didn't know exactly where. I didn't always think I wanted to work in social media, but I just knew I wanted to work in the creative industry. So, network. Whether you do or don't know what you want to do, there's people that you can meet that will be able to help you and that can offer you their advice, expertise, and open doors for you that you wouldn't be able to open by yourself. Experience. This is going to help you build up your understanding of what you want. It's going to help you build your CV, and it's going to help you build your experience, obviously. Now, there's one thing I forgot to mention. Tell everyone what you want to do. Reason being is that you never know who can put you in rooms that you need to be in. Now, this is something that I never used to like to do because I just don't like people knowing my business. However, once I voiced exactly what it was that I wanted, there were people that said, oh, I have a friend who needs this. I think you'd be great for it. Oh, I need help with this. You said you wanted to do that? Please help me. There's people out there that want to help you. Put it out there because there's people that want to help. And 3, CVs. Make sure your CV sounds immaculate. Regardless of how little experience you have, make it sound like you're the bomb.com and that they need you in that room. Those are my three tips on how to secure a banging job like myself and earn some big boy cash. I hope that's helpful. If you guys have any questions in regards to a career in social marketing, digital strategy, PR, all of that, then please drop me an email or drop me a message on Instagram at chrissie.xm. I might be able to offer some advice. But I hope that was helpful. You can also comment down below and we'll get into conversation. But I hope you enjoyed that video and I will see you in my next one. Don't forget to turn on my notifications and subscribe. Bye guys!